In Venezuela, the President of the National Assembly has announced to fraud the recent primary elections held by the opposition. In Palestine, humanitarian organizations warn that the hospital system is on the verge of collapse as a result of Israeli bombardments. In the United States, local authorities report irregular water levels of the Mississippi River. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, has arrived on Tuesday in Beijing, the capital of China, where he will hold a meeting with his counterpart Xi Jinping. The head of the state, who arrived along with the Foreign Minister Álvaro Leiva Duran, among other members of the cabinet, was welcomed with military honors by the ambassador of Colombia in China and his counterpart in Bogota, Sergio Carrera, and Su Xinjiang. And Kai, the Director General of the Foreign Minister for Latin America and the Caribbean, was also present. President Petro stressed the importance of advancing a multipolar world and said that part of the visit is focused on trade issues under the Belt and Road Initiative. The Colombian president said that during the visit that intends to bring some relief to the exhausted economy inherited from his predecessor, Iván Duque.
As a result of a terrible debt policy during the COVID period, we have an over-indebtedness that could be improved if the debt profile is improved in terms of payment times. We have a short-term debt that is practically drawn in the finances in these 3 years, and that, if it is put as a long-term debt, could reduce those problems that the national budget has today.
The government of Venezuela rejects statement made by the government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana regarding the consultative referendum for Venezuelans to address the territory of the Essequibo. In a statement, the government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela categorically rejects the infamous and offensive declarations of the government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana with respect to the consultative referendum scheduled for December 3, 2023. Guyana statements, once again, are being drafted by the law firm employed by ExxonMobil, a company that has corrupted the Latin American and Caribbean values of a nation, and by the Guyanese political class, dragging them into an erratic course of action. The statement also stressed that Venezuela, in accordance with international law and the principles enshrined in the Geneva Agreement of 1966, insists on urging the Guyanese government to desist from its unilateral and subordinate actions to transnational capital. On Tuesday, the President of the National Assembly of Venezuela described as a fraud the last primary elections held by the opposition. During a press conference, Jorge Rodriguez called the results of the opposition primaries a gigantic fraud after solid irregularities that violate the Venezuelan constitution and the lack of verifiability of the results. In a sense, Rodriguez mentioned that it is also a theft of will because there is no way to prove the figures reported. The President of the National Assembly also mentioned that those who orchestrated these elections are also part of those who in 2019 imposed an interim president in the country. In Venezuela, Nelson Rampersad, a technical advisor for the opposition primary, said that the number of voted is being distorted out of proportion.
The problem is, and this is what I'm saying, that more than 520,000 people didn't go to vote at the event, and the numbers are being distorted to numbers that are unprecedented. Then I would like to comment on the following question. I didn't say that 478,000 people vote at a primary voting table. I say the average, and the average is calculated by dividing the number of votes that Dr. Casal says he has accumulated by the number of voting tables. This is around 1,500,000 by 3,031 voting tables. That results to 478. The average in each voting table should have been 478 votes. But there were tables where 100 people could have voted, and in other tables there should have been 800 or 1,000 people voting. This is not true. That's what I mean. And that in 1 minute to cast the vote. All the statisticians and the planners know that according to the line theory, that's not possible. A single line for a table for 500 or 600 people to vote there. That's not true. And that is cheap to the society.
Ron Pelsard also mentioned that the political slogan of the apparent winner of the primaries will lead to the country to a new escalation of violence.
I would like to make an observation about this person and a warning to the country that we should be vigilant through you until the end, which was his permanent voice. It is not a simple electoral slogan, nor is it a mantra. It is a political strategy. Until the end means a process that is coming next, and many are saying it, of fighting for its validation, its qualification as a candidate. This is going to lead us again to an open confrontation with the regime in the streets, with blood on the asphalt, as many of them like to see it.
After winning the first round of the presidential elections and heading to a runoff against Libertarian and Milei, the Minister of Economy, Sergio Massa, announced a package of measures to strengthen economic activity and income. The plan includes fixed non-remunerative sums as amount of future increases and credit for co-workers. The Minister of Economy and candidate announced also a new dollar rate for exporters looking to strengthen the country's dollar reserves, one of the main concerns between now and November 19th. He also commented on a new target to have a budget with a 1% surplus, as he plans to eliminate subsidies and benefits for companies representing 5% of gross domestic product. For his part, presidential candidate of Liberty Advances, Javier Milei, summoned to Monday all the sectors that want to get rid of Kirchnerism to join his party in the runoff election. In this contest, Argentina's Minister of Economy and presidential candidate Sergio Massa called for a government of national unity.
I think it's a mistake to say that the next period will be linked only to Peronism. We are going to have a government of national unity. I will summon the best of the different political forces, regardless of their origin. Argentina has to stop being a chronic beggar of debt and become a supplier of labor.
The chairman of South Africa's Independent Electoral Commission, Mosoro Moipa, announced the formal launch of the 2024 national and provincial election campaign. The launch will focus on final registrations, deadlines, and requirements prior to the elections. According to Moipa, independent candidates will be able to stand, so the public should be patient regarding the necessary legislative adjustments. Going forward, the Commission will continue to strengthen civic and voter education initiatives to ensure that voters are fully informed about the roles and responsibilities in the upcoming elections. The official pointed out that updated census figures indicate that more than 40 million South Africans should be in an electoral roll. However, only 26 million are listed. The immediate task is to encourage a good number of South Africans who are not on the electoral roll to make the vote count. Let's take a short break. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English. We'll find news in different formats, new dates, and more. All studies coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Palestine, humanitarian organizations warn that the hospital system is on the verge of collapse as a result of Israeli bombardments. The Palestinian health minister reported that a Lebanon hospital had been stopped functioning in the last few days due to a lot of medical supplies and problems with power and water services, which led medical personnel to work well above their capacity. Experts warned that the number of wounded in emergency rooms in Israeli aggression exceeds 16,000 people. In view of the situation, they call on the international community to intervene so the Israeli allows the entry of humanitarian aid. According to health authorities, the number of fatal victims of the Israeli aggression amounts to some 5,791, among them 2,360 children, 1,292 women, and 295 elderly. Amid the hospital crisis in Palestine this Tuesday, the Israeli occupation forces attacked the vicinity of the Nasser hospital in the south of the Gaza Strip. According to health authorities, patients and refugees in the hospital were being transferred to other areas while efforts were underway to rescue the victims of this attack. During the recent Israeli onslaught against Gaza, Tel Aviv is targeting residential buildings, mosques, and hospitals. However, it justified these attacks as attempts to neutralize Hamas' Palestinian resistance forces. And amidst a strong institutional and political crisis, Israel's invasion to the Gaza Strip opens a new front to justify another delay. According to Israeli media, the defense minister considered on Tuesday that they can delay for a few days the invasion of Gaza in order to facilitate negotiation for the release of numerous hostages. And they affirmed that Tel Aviv and Washington want to exhaust all options to listen to Hamas' proposal on the 200 hostages. Several critics of the occupation claim that the Ministry of Defense has not prepared any effective strategy for the operation, while Hamas confirmed on Tuesday that it has 35,000 soldiers at its disposal to fight the invaders. The Israeli government will not authorize under any circumstances the entry of fuel into Gaza, signing the death warrant for the hospital infrastructure in the Strip. Marbujev, senior advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, confirmed this in an interview to U.S. media outlets. Without providing evidence, he assured that the fuel that entered through the Rafah crossing was stolen by Hamas militiamen. However, the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs confirmed that none of the trucks have entered Gaza were carrying fuel. The Palestinian Hamas movement released two hostages on humanitarian and medical grounds through Edge's mediation. Authorities detail that the hostages released are two women, 79 and 84 years old. Israeli nationals captured near the Gaza Strip on October 7th. Meanwhile, the International Committee of the Red Cross confirmed that it facilitated the release of the two women captains and evacuated them out of Gaza. At the same time, the ICRC confirmed to be ready to facilitate any future releases.
We lay there on mattresses. They really took care of the sanitation, so we didn't get sick. And we hired a doctor who came every 2 or 3 days to see how we are doing. And the medic took care and made sure to give us medication. They tried to talk politics, but we said no politics. We didn't want to get into politics with them. We were their captive. We didn't answer them, but they talk about all kinds of things. They were very friendly with us. They took care of all our needs. I give them credit for that. They were very courteous. They made sure we were clean, that we ate. We ate the same food they did.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel or teleSUR English, where you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In the United States, local authorities reported that the Mississippi River, known as the water highway of North America, is dangerously dry. Experts confirmed that for the second year in a row, the water level of the largest river in the U.S. has dropped to historic lows amid a prolonged drought. Recent studies indicate that the water crisis in the state of Louisiana is growing more acute by the day and threatens a historic drinking water crisis as the salt water from the ocean moves upstream due to the river's wave flow. Colonel Colin Jones of the New Orleans office indicated that to counteract this salt water intrusion, the Mississippi Valley would need 10 inches of precipitation. However, the Climate Prediction Center forecasts this winter's El Niño phenomenon could make the northern plains and Midwest drier than usual.
But we're begging for a rain. I mean, it's just crazy. We need a good rain up north to get this river up, and everybody would feel better. Everybody. The farmers, everybody. I mean, it's crazy how everything's happening right now.
This isn't something any of us want to see. It's got the industry on its knees. We're just barely functioning right now. And if it were to fall another foot or two, that would probably close.
In the United States, at least 7 people were killed early Monday morning in a 158 vehicle accident on Interstate 55 in Louisiana, state police said in a statement. Police said that more than 25 people were hospitalized with injury of varying severity, and many other victims went to medical facilities on their own. According to authorities, the crash was generated by the lack of visibility caused by the fog and smoke from fires in the state's southern wetlands. After the crash, several cars caught fire and another vehicle went off the road and fell into the water, but the driver was rescued. A tanker truck also crashed and had to unload the dangerous liquid as it carried due to the damage to the trailers. As a consequence of the accident, the police informed that the road will remain closed at least until noon this Tuesday for the inspection of possible damages. In eastern Bangladesh, rescue and recovery operations continued after a passenger train collided with a cargo train in Bayreuth city. Police and officials reported at least 17 killed and more than 100 others wounded after the two trains collided. Sadiqui Rahman, a government administrator in Bayreuth, said the death toll was expected to rise, with rescuers reporting they could see bodies crushed and trapped under the overturned coaches. The collision happened at 3:30 p.m. local time, and rail services were suspended throughout the region following the accident. It was not immediately clear what caused the accident. The president of China, Xi Jinping, has signed on Tuesday a decree to dismiss Li Jianfu as a state councilor and minister of defense, a position he has held since March this year, local media report. For the moment, the reason for the dismissal of Li, whose last appearance dates back to last August during the third China-Africa Peace and Security Forum held in Beijing, are unknown. The decree signed by Xi also includes the dismissal of former Foreign Minister Qin An, State Councilor Wang Xiyan as Minister of Science and Technology, who will be replaced by Ding Hejun, and Liu Kang as Minister of Finance, whose position will be taken over by Lan Fohan. The Santiago 2023 Pan American Games continue in Chile. And we go live with the journalist Eduardo Regonesi. Hi, Eduardo. What can you tell us about the latest?
How are you doing? Very, very hot day here in Santiago. The sun is hitting really, really hard, but not as hard as Brazil was hitting this morning when they won their baseball game 4-2 against Cuba. Brazil having an amazing tournament here in Santiago, Chile, winning all 3 of their games in the group stage and moving on to the second round of the tournament. They will be joining Panama, who also won 3-0. The other team that's going to be moving to the second round is Mexico, who had a 2-1 record and also make it to the second round. We just finished a very, very exciting game. It was Colombia versus Venezuela. It was an amazing match. A lot of people on the stands, and it was a big, big upset. Colombia defeated Venezuela. Nobody was expecting that. We all know Venezuela is one of the strongest teams in the continent, and Colombia hadn't won a game yet. It was a lot on the line today because if Venezuela would have won, they would have made it to the second round. If Colombia won, and that's what happened, it produced a 3-way tie between Cuba, who, by the way, had a very, very bad tournament. It was Cuba, Venezuela, and Colombia tied. It was a triple tied. And the way to see who was going to move forward, we had to look at the runs, the hits, and by the end, the information we have right now is that Colombia made it to the second round. So Colombia joins Brazil, Panama, Mexico on the second round. So very, very good day for the Colombian team. In other events this morning, Mexico and Bolivia had an amazing results in racquetball. Something really peculiar happened here. Both of the finals, the men and the women's finals, were played by just representatives of one country. On the women's side, both of the athletes were from Bolivia, and on the men's side, the other way around. On the women's side, both of the athletes were from Mexico, and on the men's side, both of the athletes were from Bolivia. So Bolivia and Mexico secured the gold and the silver in female and male racquetball. In water ski, Chile got a silver, a bronze medal early this morning. Good day for the local team. And as soon as we're done here, we're going to be walking across the street here in Cerrillos to the sport climbing women's final. Just so you know, out of the 8 competitors, 6 are from the United States and Canada. 3 from the US, 3 from Canada, and the remaining 2, 1 from Argentina, 1 from Chile. So we're going to go there and support the Latin athletes that are going to be competing later on tonight. Of course, we are going to have all the details for you later on tomorrow or whenever you call us. I lost return, so I cannot hear you guys. So I'm going to say bye for now and go back with you in the studio.
Thank you, Eduardo Regonesi, for reporting for us from the Pan American Games. And we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, X, Telegram, Instagram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.